Good evening, everyone. So you're welcome to class, the week 5. If you can hear my voice, can you please just chat in the chat box that you can hear my voice? All right, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. So let me share my screen. So can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen? Can you put it in the chat box? All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So while we are waiting for others to join us, let me just give a brief announcement of what I've passed across. If you have gained something in this training, like I said, that I need like a 1-minute video, and I've given the prototype. So please kindly do that for me by doing the 1-minute video. So you're welcome to the Python class, and just like we've been, last week was with was NumPy. We did NumPy last week. So this week is going to be more of data visualization using Matplotlib library. So we are going to do data visualization today using Matplotlib library, and for the rest of this course, we'll be doing data visualization using Matplotlib library, combination of Matplotlib library and Seaborn. That is for the next 2 weeks left that we have for this lecture. Combination of Matplotlib library and Seaborn. And like I told them in the other classes, hopefully by next week, I will send the project that you are going to do, and you have 2 weeks to do it. So let's make a start. So it's going to be a combination of everything that I have taught you guys so far. So let's make a start. Our data that we are going to be using today is fake employee data sets. Fake employee data sets. That is what we are going to be. That's what we are going to be using today. So don't forget that. So let's import the necessary libraries. So the first thing is to import pandas as PD, as you all know. Now we need to import our Matplotlib library as well. So import Matplotlib library .pyplot as plt. Now, some of you might not have, it might not work for you, but because me have been running on this system with it, so you have to first install it. So pip install Matplotlib. So you need to press that. So let me run this as well. So you need to have this, that requirement has been satisfied. That requirement has been satisfied. So you need to ensure that you have that requirement has been satisfied. Without it, when you run this, it's going to give you an error. When you run that, it's going to give you an error. So PDF. So let's read in our CSV file. And like I said, this is what we want to read in. So that will be pd.read CSV. Of course, you already know, at least we've read in different PDF files. So you already know that this is not a new thing. So let's read in and see. And so let's see the .csv. So now this is our, like I said, this is a fake data. This is a fake data. The data are not real. So take note of that very well. It's a fake data. The data are not real. So this is our data. So we want to use Matplotlib to do some data visualizations. So we have the name, the date of birth, the salary, the state, department, performance, and year of experience, gender. So like I said, of good practice, you need to comment on each of your code. So install the Matplots library. So here is, we are reading in our CSV file. And here is, we are printing, that is to view the table. Now, don't forget that the other day, I was telling you about that we have what we call categorical data and continuous data. So in this place now, our categorical data are departments. The other time when we did something on group by, I believe that you still remember, I think that was I think it was week 3. So you can go back to those video now. So we have gender, we have states. Now the rest are categorical data, the rest are continuous data, performance score, and the likes. So now let's make a start. So for example, if we want to draw the we want to know each department's salary, like each department, the total sum of their salary by each department. So how do we go about that? So just in a simple way. Now, remember that we have represented, this is just an alias. We have represented our matplot library.pyplot as PLT. So this will now be PLT. So you know where I got PLT now. And I want it to be a bar chart. So I will say dot bar. So I'm going to say dot bar. then into brackets. Now, I want to know the total sum of salary per each department. So for example, you receive an email that can we know the total sum of salary per each department? So how do you go about that? And you want to use Python to actually verify that. So that is why if you miss any class, you need to go back to it. So to call out the column for department, you know that that will be DF, and you have the square brackets. Then you put in your department inside. So now to call out the salary also, it's also the same process, the salary column. So this should not be difficult for you to call out a column if you have been following everything that I've been doing. So we have salary here. Now, if I should run this, this is going to run. So let me close my brackets. Now, as you can see that it has run, our code has run. However, if you look at it, we don't have the title. We don't have the title for our x-axis, the title for our y-axis. So how do we add the title for this? How do we go about that? So instead of doing that of salary, let me have gender by. So let me do that of gender to explain that. So as you can see, there's no title here, and there's no title for our x-axis, and there's no title for our y-axis. I believe that you still remember your mathematics very well, that this is y-axis and this is x-axis, and you can have your title up there. So how do you go about that? So instead of redrawing department and salary, so let me say what is the state performance? Can I know the state performance score? The performance score for each state performance. So if we want to go about that, so I'll say I'll click state here. So this will be states, then performance score. So I have performance score there. Now I want to add my title. So that will be plt.title, then into brackets. So what should I call the title now? Let's call it the states versus the performance score. The state versus the performance score. So then I want to have my title as well. I want to have my title for the x-axis and the y-axis. Now, just like I have explained the other time, is the x-axis that is going to be, if you look at this place, the categorical data is we always come from the x-axis, and the continuous data will always be on the y-axis. So obviously, if I want to give my title to my x-axis, it's also going to be plt.xlabel. So, and I will give it the title as states. There as well, plt.ylabel, and I will give the title as, I will give the title as performance score. performance score. So here now, I have my plot to be bar. Now, another thing that I can add is if I don't want my color to be blue, let's assume that I want my color to be maybe, let's say, purple. I can change the color here and put color equals to purple. Then let's assume that I want to change now. I want to control the weight, the size of this that is too balanced for me. I want to give it another size. So here on top like this, I will say pl.figure, plt.figure. So then I can control my size by saying fig size equal to 10,6. That is, the horizontal should be, no, the vertical should be 10 and the horizontal should be 6. Now we are going to test it and we will see that I made a mistake here. This is supposed to be label. So we have given we've given the chart that we want to draw. We have given it a title. So then if you are not running this in your Jupyter notebook, when you add all of these, you need to add plt.show so that it can show all the stuff, that is all the formatting that you have done on your plots. So let me run this. So as we can see, I changed the color to purple. If I come here and change the color, let's say I want green. You can see that it's changed to green. And this is the performance per states. This is the performance per state. I think from this, it looks like the state performance, they look all similar. But there's a way that you can easily know if they are confusing like this. And that way is by introducing what we call grid. What do I mean by grid? You know, if you open your Microsoft Excel sheet, if you open a Microsoft Excel sheet, you will discover that there are some lines. That is what we mean by grid. So I will say plt.grid, then true. So what this does is that it will introduce a grid lines so that you can easily know the difference between both. So you can see it has introduced a grid lines. So you can easily see the differences, or you see that, okay, almost the states performance score are almost the same. So this is the essence of using a grid line when you are doing when you are drawing in Python, when you are making use of the Matplotlib library. Now, remember that I changed the figure from 10 to 6. Let me tweak this. Look at this. Look at this, the way it is. So if I should tweak it and make it 12:8, you will see that it's going to increase. The size of that figure will increase. So you can see now the size have increased. The size of that figure has increased. So let's assume again that we want to possibly, so let me try to comment this as of good practice. So what this is doing is to resize the figure of the visualization. Then plotting in bar charts. Then this one gives title to the visualization. This gives title to the visualization, then gives title to the x-axis, gives title to the y-axis, gives title to the, no, gives grid lines, and this is to show the visualization. So that is what it does. Now, there's something we also known as, for example, if you want to represent our agenda, that is, for example, you want to know the number of, like I said, this is a fake data. So in the fake data, it has non-binary male and female. So that's the way the fake data was created. So let's assume we want to know the count of each, in this organization, we want to know the number of male, the number of female, and the number of non-binary, and we want to represent it in a visualization. So let's assume that we want to make use of a pie chart. So how do we go about that? So let's say, let me call it gender count. That is, we want to count our gender first. So gender count equals to df. I'm calling the column for gender now. I'm calling the column for gender. So dots value counts. So this value count is a function. This value count is a function in Python. So what this does is it counts all the values of each gender. So that is what it does. Sorry. If I should print this alone now, that is what it's going to do for me, but that is not our, you can see we have female, male, non-binary. So if we want to represent this now in a visualization, that is in a pie chart, so how do we go about it? So plt.figure, and I want the size just to be within the range. I want the size just to be within the range of 8,8. Then I want it to be drawn in form of pie chart. So that will be plt.py. So now this is my data now. That's gender count. So gender count, then labels, labels equal to, now, what do I mean by labels? You remember that here we had X label, Y label. So, but for pie chart, there's nothing like that. So I want the values to be gender counts. And so that is why it is what? Labeled like that. So let me close this. Then PLT, let me give it a title because I want to, so that will be gender distribution, because that is gender distribution. So if you want to know the gender distribution for your organization, So this is like uh this is what this is a formula that you can make use of. So I've given it a title and I've given it for pie chart, it's just going to draw a pie chart. So there's no need for x axis, there's no need for y axis. So let me run this now. So as you can see here, we have this. We have the gender distribution. So we have 353, which is for the female, and the male is 336, and the female is 311. Now, there are a couple of things that you could add to it. But let me see if we have questions. Do we need to add show if we are using Jupyter Notebook? No, we don't need to add show. If you are using Jupyter Notebook, you don't need to add show. However, if you are using other platforms, so I have to teach you that one in general, because if you are using Spider and other platforms, or Visual Studio, you need to add show. But if you are using it in Jupyter Notebook, you don't need to add show. Just like you don't need print in Jupyter Notebook as well. So does this graph state versus mean that all of them are at the same level? So yeah, something like that, like they were well represented. It's a fake data, but we could calculate the mean. So for example, I could calculate the mean now and know the average mean of salary or the average mean for performance of each of those states. I could calculate the average mean, that is mean, sorry. Or let's say let's say for this, we want to calculate the for these departments, let's say we want to calculate the average mean. And for this as well, we could also calculate the average mean and possibly know the differences. This is just like the sum. And like I said, it's a fake data, so it could have distributed it evenly. And that's why it's like that. But obviously, if you calculate the mean, obviously we are going to have differences. So let's attempt to calculate the mean and see the average performance score by each state. So let's attempt to do that. That is, what's the average performance score? What's the average performance score by each state? So just like I've taught you the other time, I taught you how to calculate mean. So also is the same way that we are going to calculate the mean. We can use group by. You can use NumPy. I taught you NumPy last week. So you can use NumPy to calculate the mean. You can use group by. Group by was what I taught you 2 weeks ago. But I want to use the group by. So average performance score. Average performance score by states equals to, so if you want to calculate the average performance score per state, equals to df dot group by. So what are we grouping by now? We are grouping by the states. That is what we are grouping by. We are grouping by the states. So I'll put the states here. Then close this. So then open that, and which is the performance. So the performance score. performance score, then group by the performance score. So dot mean, since that is what I want to use, dot mean, then possibly there's another function that is called sort values. That is, if I want the values to be sorted, so let me use that sort values because of what we want to draw. So let me use sort values. So what this is going to do is that is going to group each of those performance score by the states. So we are grouping by these states. We are grouping by these states, and so it's going to show us Illinois performance average score, Florida average score, New York State average score, like that. So let me run this first. Series has no, oh, my sort value, that's not how to do it. There has to be an underscore there. So let me run it again. So that's perfect. So now let me print this out first before we draw it in the visualization. So this is the now you can see that there are also the differences are not that much, but there are still differences in the mean score, and we can still use the grid lines to actually dictate those differences in the average score of the state. So if we want to put this in visualization now, so how do we go about it? So let me copy PLT title. I'm in PLT figure. So that is for, so what this does, let me put this here, is that what this does is to calculate the mean by the mean of performance score by state. The mean of performance score by state. So then this is to print the average performance score. So now plt.figure, then so here now AV, so AVG performance score per state, dot plot, then I will open the bracket. So kind, I want it to be in a bar chart. I want it to be in a bar chart, comma. Let me give it a color. So let's say we have blue. Then I have to give it a title. So PL, there's something good about this. You can always copy, then you just edit. So instead of you trying to type everything. So this is going to be average performance score by states. So average performance score by state, then PLT dot X label. So now our x-axis is going to be what? The state, which is the categorical variable, and our y-axis is going to be the performance score, the average performance score. Then, like I said, because of how the figures are, so let's make use of the grid. So I think I have it the other time. So let me copy it. And let me copy the show as well. So let me run this now. So as you can see that there are differences in the average. It looks like, and just like we have it there, it was Illinois that has the average performance score, that has the highest average performance score. And it is also represented um, in our figure like this. Now, why do we have it like this? We can actually rotate it, but let me see, we can rotate our label, but let me see if we have any question. We line charts will be appropriate in cases like this where the difference are not much. No, line chart is not going to be appropriate because the differences are not much. So the only place where line charts will be appropriate is when you have when there are a lot of differences and it is probably decreasing or it is increasing, or there are zigzags, like it is increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, like that. That's what makes line charts to be appropriate. But next week we are still going to make use of we are still going to draw some line charts, but I'm not sure we'll get to that tonight. So which visualization will be best to represent the graph, seeing the value is very close to each other? Yes, I've done that now, which is bar chart. Bar chart will be the best visualization to do it. And you have to make use of the grid lines as well. You have to make use of the grid lines. So the grid lines will help to do that. But you can't make use of the pie chart. That's not possible. You can't make use of the pie chart. It's not possible. So let's attempt to rotate. So that will be PLT dot x6 rotation equals to 45. Is it okay like this, or we want it straight? You can see that I've rotated it. If we want it straight, let's change this to 90. Oh, it's going back. Why is it going back? I want it to rotate. Okay, almost there. Yeah. So if we have, yeah, perfect. So the rotation has to change back to 0 for us to have it straight. But you remember that if I should, let me comment this out now. If I should comment this out and run it, you remember the way it was doing. So this is what this does, is to rotate, is for rotation. So let me comment this. Rotating the x-axis label. Any questions so far? Yeah, okay, yeah, the rotation is 0, yes. I've done that already. Any question again before I move ahead? Okay, no question. Now, now, looking at this again, we could also have now something like we could have something we call, if you want to do like a scatter plot, if you want to do a scatter plot, that is scatter plot of the salaries and the years of experience, we could have a scatter plot. And we could also have years of experience. We could also have the mean years of experience by gender. And we could also have, let's attempt to do the average salary by each gender. Let's do that. The average salary by each gender. So the other time what we calculated was the average salary by state. So we are still going to repeat the same process. So this will change to average salary by gender. And so this will now be gender. And the other one is going to be salary. This is going to be salary. So we are calculating the mean of salaries, the mean of salaries by gender. So that's what we are calculating. So let's print this out. So it's still closely related as well. We have female, non-binary, and male. So let's represent it in form of a bar chart as well. So let me just copy this and we just edit that. But let me change the size here to 10, 6. So this is going to be average gender dot plots. Yeah, let me leave it as bar charts. So the title now is going to be average salary by gender. So our X label is going to be gender and our Y label is going to be average salary So let me run this now. So now this visualization, there are still differences. That's why bar chart is the most appropriate. You can see the differences are still obvious. So it shows that male in this organization, they has the highest average salary in this organization. Is a fake data. Yeah, can you please send this data set to us? It's not on the WhatsApp group. Yes, this is a new data set. It's not the data set we've been using before. So it's a new data set. It's a new data set. It's not the data set we've been using before. It's a new data set. Any other question? So I'm going to send the data set to you. Any other questions before we move on? Do we have any other questions? All right. In the absence of no question, let me attempt to go over what we've done today. At least we've done bar charts, we've done pie charts. So next week, we are going to build on this. We are going to build on this next week. So when I started, I said that some of you might not have Matplotlib library on your system, and so it might not work. So because I don't know the kind of Windows you are using, and I don't know the type of Python library that you downloaded on your system. So I said you have to use pip install matplotlib library. So you have to ensure that you have this, that requirement is satisfied. Then import all necessary libraries. So when you import all necessary libraries, then I will send this data set to you. Then you have this data set. Then we view our table. So this is our table. We have name, date of birth, salary, state. So the data that we are going to use to practice next week, because next week we are going to combine both the matplot library and the Seaborn together. So I'm going to teach you the Seaborn library next week. That's what I'm going to teach you next week. I'm going to teach you the Seaborn library next week. So you view the table. Then here, I just started with this plc.bar, which is the bar chart. So that is department and salary. That is each department, how their salary varies. And from the look of things, looks like is the HR. Is the HR even collecting than the IT? It's a fake data actually, so don't be amused by it. But I believe IT should be collecting than HR. It depends. It depends on organization. So it's a fake data, just like I've said. So, and here I did a calculation. I did the visualization of state versus each state and their performance score, and they look similar. So we further delve ahead to look at the average performance score by each state. And we also use a bar chart. So here we did something on the value count for that is the total number of people of the gender distribution, and this is it. So I think this is the gender distribution. We make use of a pie chart for the gender distribution here. So next week I will teach you how, either next week or upper week, hopefully we'll get there next week, you can control the amount of color that is here by using code. You can control the color that you want. You want it to be in your pie chart. You can control the colors. But however, you don't have to cram the color, the code. All the code are on Python documentation, so you don't have to cram the code. But for pie chart, you can't just put, for pie chart, yes, you can't just put color is equals to blue. You have to put the code there. And next week as well, we'll dwell more on legend. I mean, when you have, for example, if we want to create states and gender together and we want to look at their salary, obviously one of our legend is going to be maybe gender. That is going to be one of our legends. So we are going to look at how we can create that. But that will be too booksome for this class. So that's why I didn't dwell into that. So, and we also created average performance per state. And so that's why we have this. and we created average salary per gender. We introduced the title, the x-axis, and the y-axis. All right. So in the absence of no question, I think I have done justice to what, and you have learned something. So give me a reaction if you understood what I've taught tonight. So I will I will send the data set to you. Thank you very much. And I will also send the code, and in the next 24 hours, I will send the YouTube video as well, so that as you are practicing, kindly drop comments when you watch the YouTube video. Don't just watch. Kindly drop comments when you watch the YouTube video. So thank you very much. I will see you guys next week. Bye for now. Thank you.